Hello YouTube. This video is for question number 1, midpoints. Please follow along with this video and copy down what I write generally as well. Before we begin the worksheet, please go to the second page and go to the quick notes. Let's talk about the midpoint formula. The midpoint formula goes along as such. The midpoint M is always represented by x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Now, what does the midpoint actually do? Number 1, it finds the midpoint between 2 points. Number 2, it's another way of saying finding the average of 2 points. That's what the midpoint does. Midpoint is also known as the halfway point. Oh, I misspelled halfway. Halfway. So let's use that for the beginning at the moment. Going back to the first page. Let's read the introduction. Use the map of the amusement park to answer the questions below. Assume that you always take the shortest, most direct route between attractions. Each unit on the grid represents 1 meter. Question number 1. Every day, a food truck sets up at a location that is conveniently halfway between the entrance and the exit. Plot and label the location of the food truck. This one should be quite simple. This is on a flat line. The entrance is at -8, 0. The exit is at 8, 0. The halfway point should be right in the middle or 0, 0. We can label this location as the food truck. Question number 2. After getting lunch from the food truck, you decide to head to the milk jug. Give the coordinates of the halfway point. Explain how you know. The milk jug, let's start drawing in green, is right here. The location of this is at 8, -4. We need to find the midpoint between the food truck and the milk jug. Well, step number 1, if you want to find the midpoint, label the points that you're going to use. Let's write this in black. We have x1, y1, x2, y2. We labeled the points. Now we can plug into the midpoint formula. The midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Please do not get confused by this Please do not get confused by that comma. We don't do anything with the comma. It is just a separator between the two values. So once we plug in the values of the food truck and the milk jug into the equation, we get 0 plus 8 divided by 2, comma, 0 plus -4 divided by 2, which that simplifies to 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 0 plus -4 is -4 divided by 2 is -2. This is our answer. We do not add or subtract these two numbers. What we get here is an x and a y value for our midpoint. We can plot this. Our midpoint is at 4 comma negative 2. That is our midpoint. Now we're going to skip number 3. Moving on. Let's go to number 4. A new ride, the Intimidator, will be built halfway between the milk jug and the Ferris wheel. So let's go to the milk jug, which is in green, and Ferris wheel, which is in blue. That's where it is. Now the milk jug has coordinates 8 comma negative 4. The Ferris wheel has coordinates 2 comma 7. You go to the x value, you go to the y value. It's 2 comma 7, 8 comma negative 4. What is the x coordinate of this new ride? Well, the new ride is halfway points, so we need to find the midpoints of the milk jug and the Ferris wheel. Fortunately, we know their coordinates. The milk jug is at 8 comma negative 4. And the Ferris wheel, I believe, is at 2 comma 7. If you want to find the midpoint, step number 1, every single time, label your points x1, y1, x2, y2. Now we can plug into our midpoint formula, which is x1 plus x2, let's make this bigger, divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Once we plug the values into the equation, we get, so x1 goes here, x2 goes here, y1 goes here, y2 goes there. Then we get 8 plus 2 divided by 2, comma, negative 4 plus 7 divided by 2. Now remember, that comma is just a separator between the values. You don't do any math. No math. Then we should get the answers. If you put in the calculator, 5, comma, negative 4 plus 7 is 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So, what is the x coordinate of the new ride? Well, the x coordinate is always the first value. So this will be x and this will be the y. 5. What is the y coordinate? 1.5. Plot and label the Intimidator on the map. Let's go to 5, comma 1.5. So Intimidator is at 5, comma 1.5. That is the Intimidator. Perfect. Last question. I highly suggest you pay attention to this one. Number 5. The exit is exactly halfway between the Ferris wheel and where you parked your car. Give the coordinates of your parking spots. So, one more time. The exit is exactly halfway point of, let me read that one more time. Is that the exit is exactly halfway between the Ferris wheel and where you parked your car. So, now the exit is our midpoint, 8, 0, and our Ferris wheel, 2, 7, is an endpoint. If that was confusing, let me draw it out for you. So if you have a line that's in pencil, let's not do that. If you have a line that looks like this, our midpoint is 8, 0, and our endpoint is 2, 7. This is exactly the halfway. Whenever you see the word halfway, you should think of midpoint. Now this, you kind of have to use a little bit of common sense to find where your parking spot is. Remember, the midpoint is halfway, so the distance from 2 to 8 is you need to add 6. So guess what? You add 6 again to the middle number, and you get 14. Let me do that one more time. Step number 1, let's find the x value of our coordinates. There it is. Oh, but I don't want, there it is. Man, let me get this straight, guys. There it is. We want to find the x and the y value of our endpoints. The distance from 2 to 8, I'm just looking at the x values, is you need to add 6 plus 6. So if that's a halfway point, you do plus 6 again to the middle number, and you get 14. So our endpoint x value is 14. Now do the same thing for the y. Let me erase this real quick. Our y value at the end is 7. Our midpoint is 0. How many little jumps do you need to get to 0? You need minus 7. So if you do the same mathematical operation on the y value here, 0 minus 7, you get negative 7. So our parking lot or parking spot is at 14, comma, negative 7. So now we're going to go to your check your understanding. You will have to do most of this on your own, except I will give you some hints. For number 3, give the coordinates of two endpoints whose midpoint does not have a whole number x or y coordinate. So you do not want coordinates such as 2, 1. You don't want 3, 2. In which instances, do you have a midpoint with, let's say, something that looks like 1.5, 2.5? I will give you a hint. The eraser takes so much time. The hint is, remember, the midpoint gets the average of two values. What is the average of two even numbers? That's not even. Well, 2 plus 4 divided by 2 will give you 3. That's a whole number. How about an odd and even number? You get 2 plus 3 divided by 2, which will give you 2.5. Aha. That is my hint. For number 4, you need to do the same thing what we did for the parking spots. And for number 5, please be creative. I'm going to give you an example. We know that M is a midpoint. Well, let's say we have one endpoint here. Our distance is 2, jump 2, you go up 1. So then if that's the direction you go for one way, the other endpoint is here. 2 across, 1 down. 2 across, 1 down. Bam. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And please turn this into the sub. Make sure you write your name on this. Thank you so much.